It is an important moment, I think, to be in Berlin, to be talking about the global dialogues. I think that right now in the world, we've just come from the G20, where we've seen, of course, a huge recognition and inclusion of Africa with an additional seat. But as we all know, an additional seat is important, but even more important is implementation, growth and prosperity of the global community. The war in Ukraine, the COVID-19 crisis, and of course fighting inflation has dealt a heavy blow to all the economies, global economies. Europe, as we know, is still reeling from that. We just saw another tightening of interest rates by the ECB. So it means that economic conditions are difficult. The world has been resilient, but everybody is difficult. So of course there's contraction in budgets across the world. But I think that as a development community, we are still asking for additional resources to be put for development. We know that with development comes growth, and we cannot have two speeds growth. We can't have growth in one part of the world and in the other part of the world no growth. But also, more importantly, that growth in one part of the world will pull the rest of the world. The emerging market economies today just came from China, India. India is growing at 6%. India is going to pull the world. You know, China is slowing, but China continues to be one of the locomotives. The United States is picking up, so we need that. So really, I think it's important that we do not see substantial and massive cuts in aid. What we need is not cuts in aid, but improvement in the delivery, implementation, and use of aid. We need to make sure that every aid dollar delivers a lot more than it has been doing, and that's why we welcome also the G20's work on MDB reform. What more can the multilateral development banks do to deliver better, to deliver bigger, and to deliver bolder? To deliver better means that the multilateral development banks need to work harder and stretch their dollars to do more. So we are committing at least to see how the MDBs can do more, but we want shareholders to commit to adding additional resources by way of general capital increases for where it's needed. Climate change is, of course, another big issue. I'm standing here in Berlin in the middle of September where the weather is fantastic, but this is climate change. Nobody after this summer will say that they did not understand the trials of climate change. We need to transition. We need to transition from a fossil fuel economy to a renewable economy. This needs investment. And even the transition itself is going to be expensive, and that's why we need additional resources. But more than additional resources, there we need the private sector, the German private sector, the European private sector, the global development communities, private sector, working with developing economies to see how we can build new supply chains to make this work. But to do this, a lot of the sort of new growth economy and the new digital economy is going to require skills, education, training, building capacity to be able to make sure that, you know, this new economy, this digital economy, this green economy that needs the scientists, that needs the chemists, that needs the technology and engineers, that, you know, again, from India with the IIT type institutes, can we build more of that? Can we develop better and stronger skills in the developing world? Africa is doing a lot of work already in this space, as we saw with the COVID-19 and sort of the coalition of biologists and pharmaceutical staff that came together. We need this also in the climate space and in the digital space to move forward. Electric vehicles are going to be a huge source of growth going into the future. We believe that Africa can be a huge contributor in this domain as well. But again, we need some skills to build the EV vehicles, to build the chips, to process and manufacture them.